welcome. My name is Kelly Anderson, and this is Fanimated, the animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. This week, Emma Martin and I discuss the Kyoto Animation film A Silent Voice, a story about a hearing-impaired girl and her childhood bully. We have a lot to talk about and get distracted by, so let's get started and let's get animated. Hey Emma, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't believe the summer is almost over already. I'm kind of in awe of that, and I don't really know what to think of it.
I know. It's so crazy. You know, at the coffee shop that I occasionally work at, they've already got fall items coming in. And I'm like, what? Like, no, keep the summer going strong. Like, I love fall, but wow.
Oh, I know. It's too soon. Too soon. I work at a college and the students will be back in a couple of weeks. And I want it to be quiet. It's so nice on campus in the summer. Everything is quiet. Oh, well, it's fine. I'm just more of an introvert, so I like to just hide in my corner. But
yeah, I was going to say, we have opposite problems. I'm all about the people.
Speaking of quiet people, we're talking about A Silent Voice.
Wow.
Good transition, right?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Kelly Anderson, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. I try to podcast correctly. I don't know if there's a good way to. Yeah, I try. So A Silent Voice is the Japanese anime. It came out in 2016 in Japan and follows two main characters, one of which is a deaf girl, and her childhood bully is the other main character. And it's a really, you just bring your tub of cookie dough and some Kleenexes, that's all.
Definitely a tearjerker kind of movie.
For sure.
Yeah, it's an emotional journey, and it really just like comes in tune with our humanness and just the idea that hurt people. Like, you're following not only this boy who bullies a deaf girl, but you find out, you know, he too has been bullied, and it all is streaming from somewhere. It's all rooted like deep down.
And just how you can believe the lies you tell yourself, because this whole time Shoya is the bully and he's like so hard on him. He's so hard on himself. And then you realize Shoko, how do you pronounce her name?
Shoko, yep.
Shoko. And then you realize Shoko was also just as hard on herself. Like, she blamed herself for everything that happened, while, you know, he was blaming himself. So anyway, let's rewind.
So not only do you have this bully and deaf girl in this plot, but we have a series of flashbacks. So the bully and the deaf girl occur when these two are kids in elementary school, and then you follow them as adults reconnecting and Shoyo, the guy, wanting to make amends.
Correct. And the film starts out with Shoyo going through his life, and he's preparing to kill himself. And, you know, it's you at first you don't really know what's going on. He's like quitting his job and stuff. And then you realize, you're like, oh gosh, what's happening? And the last thing on his kind of list of things to settle before he decides to kill himself is he wants to make amends with Shoko. I'm going to say that wrong every single time.
You're good.
And so he goes to talk to her, and it's so lovely. Their interaction, every interaction and dialogue in this movie is phenomenal. Everything about this movie is phenomenal. But that first interaction is just like that awkwardness, but also that like longing to like talk to each other and like, you know, be open about things. So and for whatever reason, you know, that it was enough to make him not want to kill himself quite yet. and
Right.
then they can start developing their relationship together. And
yeah, you find out very quickly that it's a lot about connecting with others, like being known, being found, being noticed, like has a huge impact on us. um, what I thought was interesting is, the movie starts with this opening scene of him about to jump off a bridge. And then before he jumps, he hears a firecracker, and it's the sound that makes him stop. Like, which I found very interesting because it's all about voice, sound.
yes.
So right after he hears the firecracker, he like snaps out of it, and then he like says, "Maybe not," and walks
Right.
away. And then that's when he goes to start making amends. I just found that really interesting. Also, the fact that though the English title for this movie is A Silent Voice, the Japanese translation is The Shape of Voice. I found that intriguing because I think shape describes more of how the voice is like its own being, which makes it seem more impactful, like the power of voice. And in this case, lack of, because Shoko is, deaf, and she has trouble, communicating.
Exactly. And it's really, I will say, okay, the first time we watched this, we watched it at a friend's house, and we didn't even have the dubbed version. It was just the subtitled version, like
That's right.
a few years ago. And I did not connect with it as much that time, but watching it dubbed just helped me so much. And usually I really love subtitles, but with this one, there's so many like visuals connected to it, and trying to keep track of all the sign language and everything. It's really nice, the dubbed, and the dubbed is good. It's
It is a very good dub.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now, so no excuses, guys. Go watch this.
Yeah, the visuals are incredible in this anime. One is just gorgeous to watch, but there's a lot of symbolism. Like, you have the image of the koi fish in the river, which is really popular in a lot of animes, because in Japan, koi fish are like a sign of, or a symbol rather, of time, of fate, of, intertwined lives. And so that's like really powerful. Or like, one of my favorites is after Shoko has, caused Shoyo to transfer schools, then he gets picked on for being such a bad person. And then there's like this image of like static, and it's like separating him from the rest of the world. And then like the static builds, and then it separates him further, and it keeps going in and out. It's like a kind of a silent film moment. And that's like one of my favorite parts, because it's just a really interesting visual aid to see, like, oh, now he's, going from being on the top of the hill to the very bottom of the valley, like separated from the world.
And he slowly becomes deaf to everyone else too, by choice. He isolates himself. And it's really, really interesting how they visualize it too, because they put black X's over all the faces of the people he encounters.
Oh, yes.
And it's such a powerful thing, because he just blocks them all out, and he assumes they're like talking about him. Like, he's really in this deep spiral of, anxiety and depression. And when people actually start, when he accepts their communication and accepts them, like, the black X's like fall away from their faces, and then he can see them clearly. And it's just such a powerful visual to connect how he is viewing the world and viewing other people, and canceling them out by choice, because he from his childhood and his being bullied, like, he is just like coping by like drowning everyone out. And then at the very end, I'm jumping ahead, but the end scene is so powerful. They're at the fair.
Oh my gosh, I cry every time.
Music, and he's crying and I'm crying, and all of the exes fall away, and you're like, it's so
right.
good.
It is an incredible visual. Like, I love that because it just shows his perspective and how you're dealing with this irony of like this girl who wants to hear everything and she can't, and this guy who could hear everything but chooses not to because he feels worthless and doesn't want the rest of the world to see him. So as you mentioned the exes, I was thinking the first time that an ex falls off is I'm blanking on the name, but his first friend with the green afro.
Tomohiro.
They meet because Tomohiro is being bullied himself, like some guy is trying to steal his bike. And oh my gosh, my heart breaks when I see the scene every time. Like, because he's just crying and he's like, will anybody out there help me? You know, just asking for any stranger to help him out. And then finally Shoko decides to help out. And then later you see Tomo coming along with Shoko's bike because Shoko had given away his bike and it ended up being stolen. And when they meet up, Tomo says, I found you. And once he says those words, the X falls off. And it's that, you know, that symbolism of, I found you, you are known, like, I see you. Like, oh, wow.
like he was looking for Shoya, like, and he's like, oh, he's like, I am someone to be sought after. Like, I don't know. It's so good. And okay, I will say,
so powerful.
The first time I watched it, I also I did not like Shoya at all. He's like a hard character to root for. I
mean, he was super mean to Shoko.
Yes, I mean, he caused like damage, you know, like both mentally and physically. Like this movie is hard to watch. And also, I shouldn't say that. I should say it's like what it is, but I want you all to watch it anyway. Sorry, I'm putting you all through some trauma, but it's worth it, I promise. But the second time I watching through it, I was just like, no, like I feel that Shoya, like I get this. I get where you're coming from. Like this whole movie is just so real.
Right. Yeah, you see the light and the dark very clearly, like with each character, because even though I love Shoyo, like him as a kid, I was like, you are the worst human being ever. How could you do such a thing? Like ripping out Shoko's hearing aids?
Yes.
Like, not cool. Those are expensive. Like, and like the damage he caused her. And yet precious Shoko is just like, I just want to be friends. I don't understand why I hurt you or what I did that made you mad. And you're like, oh, what?
And the way this movie like really shows, because they show like the whole like class, how they follow along or don't, and like the sociology of how the classmates react to Shoko when she first comes, and they start to they have to write in a book. They have to, you know, use a notebook to communicate with her, and how that novelty kind of wears away. I mean, they're kids, they're in elementary school, and they don't get it. And how really, truly, none of them are immune to bullying her, and then subsequently bullying Shoya. Like they are all to blame for each other's pain. Like it's no, you know what I mean? It's just so much more complicated than you think.
Right. Everybody has their issues. Like, her name is Noaka.
Yeah.
She's like, she has the long black hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, not helpful on a podcast, but anyway, she's a close friend of Shoko's or Shoyo's. Wow, keep getting them mixed up. At first she's super helpful and like, oh, I'll help you like catch up with your studies because you can't hear the teacher. But then at the same time, she's just like, oh, well, you don't realize how much you're dragging me down because I have to like take all these notes and you're splitting up my friend group. And so, which are like real things, but also like really, I don't know how to describe my thoughts here, but
Right.
it's just one of those moments where you're tangled in emotions because you understand their perspective of how it could be frustrating for their situation. But it's also like, guys, have a heart. Like,
I
she
know.
can't hear. Like, just
Right. It's not
help.
her fault.
Right.
And even the teacher of the classroom does
Oh,
not
yeah.
help her. And
No.
he's frustrated too. Like he's just, I
Mhm.
mean, it's bad. Like it was not, but then you're like, I can't even like properly talk about what I'm trying to say right now. Like it was just so heartbreaking to watch. And like you understand everyone's perspectives, but you're also like, okay, but Shoko is deaf. She can't help it. Like, guys.
Right. Yeah, even her mother, like, it broke my heart to like hear her say things like, she would tell Shoko's sister, okay, tell your sister this. Like, she didn't even have the effort to learn sign language, her own
Right.
mother.
Like she wouldn't
And
even, yeah.
it was like she was disappointed or just frustrated or over it. I don't know, but just even her having to deal with that at home with her own
Yeah.
mom.
Like, oh, everything is just about communication. And wow. Yeah. And so no wonder that she was obviously, in her own, Shoko was in her own mental instabilities. Like, it's just, this whole movie is just everyone has problems all the time.
Yes. That is life, isn't it?
Yes, and I like it. I like that it's not a straightforward, like, we're all bad people. Like, we're humans. We all have issues, and it's complex and it's messy, and this is humanity. And we just have to stick it out and like be there for each other, guys.
Right. Like how throughout this movie, Shoyo is like creating a friend group by making amends with Shoko. Like he's connecting with all these different people for the first time in his life. And there's even a point where he's like, am I allowed to have fun? Am I allowed to have friends?
Uh-huh.
Which is like super cute, but you're like, oh, that's so sad.
Yes.
But as he's like making these connections, like there are fights here and there are happy moments. But at the end, all his old classmates, not everybody is like best friends or in the best place. They're still very human. They still have lots of work to do. But it still gives an element of hope. That's what I really like about this show is that like, yeah, it shows how real people can be, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but also that, there is hope, like that we can, see the horizon. I just
Right.
love that.
And that there's, people can change. Like Naoka is one of my favorite characters because she's so hard. She is just so mean. And then at the end, she still calls Shoko an idiot, but she does it in sign language. So this is the first time
Right.
she signs the whole movie. And so Shoko is so happy that she called her an idiot because she did it in sign language. Like it's just like it's little things like that that's like the hope is there of like, you know, she's learning. Like it's such a fun little moment that they have.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love that moment because yeah, I too think that she's a jerk. But like at the end you're like, oh wow, she made an effort to learn some sign language, even if she did call her an idiot. Like so it shows that, oh well, maybe she does care a little bit.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, so good. So what's one of your favorite moments or scenes in the movie?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Um so I've got a couple. because I don't know that I can narrow it down to one.
Sure.
So number one, so as this movie is building up to a climax, eventually Shoko tries to commit suicide by jumping off her balcony, and Shoyo is there just in time and catches her. But this causes him to, like, he gets her up on the railing, but then he falls and is in a coma. And one of my favorite moments is while he's still in a coma, Shoko's mother and sister come up to Shoyo's or Shoko's.
Shoya's the guy, Shoko is the girl. We're gonna be having trouble with that the whole time. It's okay.
They're both nicknamed Show in the show, and like even the classmates comment on that. So here we are. Anyway, so it was a moment when Shoko's mother and sister went up to Shoyo's mother, and they just like kneeled on the ground and wept and asked for forgiveness. And it was just like this beautiful moment of reconciliation, because there had been hurt both ways. Like, Shoyo made fun of Shoko for most of her life, and hurt her and traumatized her, and there was hurt there. But then the fact that Shoyo saved Shoko from killing herself, like, I don't know, it was just this beautiful moment where they could share their hurt together.
Yeah.
It was just very raw, so I liked that. Not that I like people's pain, but
right.
It's just a very vulnerable, relatable moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, Kelly, I have so many moments. This is hard. But since I kind of have a feeling of what you might share, I'm going to say my other one is after Shoyo wakes up from his coma, he runs to the bridge where him and Shoko have been feeding the koi fish. And he finds her there, and they have a moment. They're like weeping together, whatever. It's great. And then Shoyo says, "Shoko, please teach me how to live." And it's just an empowering moment where you're like, he finally is like, this is something I want. Like, what was the quote that I pulled? It said, even though some things make life difficult, that doesn't mean they're worth dying for. And it was just like, yeah, like life really does suck sometimes.
Yeah.
And we all have it bad, and maybe we're not like facing the same experiences, but we all are facing something, and like it sucks, but there's the hope that life brings too. Like there is goodness, and it was just so beautiful. Like, teach me how to live. So that's like my phrase for the week.
Yes.
My carpe diem. Yeah. What about you, Kelly? What was one of your favorite moments?
Okay, one of my favorite moments is when Shoko gets her hair up and is
yes!
all excited to go meet Shoya. They're like going on a little, I don't even remember what they're doing, but Shoko tries to talk to him, and she obviously can't speak very well because she's deaf, and Shoya isn't really understanding what she's saying. And then, I mean, it's so hard because she's trying to communicate so badly. Like it is like a desperate need for her to communicate this thing that she's trying to say. And she wants to be able to say it with her words, with her mouth. And so she isn't signing or doing anything like that, because at this time, Shoya understands quite a bit of sign language, but she is yelling at him about this, and he's like, the moon is yeah. Okay, bye. And the whole time Shoko is trying to say I love you, like,
which I don't know how he got moon out of that, but whatever.
I'm sure it must be a Japanese thing, like a I'm sure their language over, like, it must be something similar, moon and
That's true.
I love you, or something in there, I'm sure, is related to their word for moon. Um, but wow, I love that so much. Anyway, and then of course my other favorite scene is the end when everyone, all the X's fall off the faces, and Shoya is just bawling in the middle of the street, and I love it.
Oh, it is so good. I was hoping you would say that as one of the moments because it just is like the epitome of the whole show, like, or like
Yes.
the top, like, because he finally is just like hearing things for the first time again.
Yes.
You know, he takes his hands off his ears and decides
Uh-huh.
to listen to the world around him, and it's wow.
And the
So good.
sound design, okay, guys, sound design during that scene is like perfect, because it's like ringing a little bit, and it's like, it really is like he's hearing for the first time, and you hear all these sounds, and the music is so swells, and you're just like, he's like accepting, like he's not gonna be as isolated as he was, you know, like he's choosing to move forward. Like, it's so good. Gosh, I just watched this movie, but I want to watch it again after talking with you.
I know. I've watched it twice leading up to the podcast, and I still have it on my Netflix list because it's just one of those movies I could watch over and over again because of how beautiful it is. So good. Like, you
It's
get
so
some,
good.
like, it's mainly deep and raw tear-jerking stuff, but you get a little bit of funny in there, and you get,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, some cute romance in there. Captain Emma here, making the ships. There's only one.
There's only one. It's the most important. Shoko's sister Yuzuru is hilarious too.
I love her.
And just Shoya, because he's a little awkward, so that makes some fun moments too. And man, everyone is wonderful. It's so good. It's just like such an eloquently crafted piece of work, because not only is the story phenomenal, and the dialogue and the music and the visuals are just absolutely stunning. I can't even.
Oh, I agree. Did you notice that throughout the film, there's a lot of times where it will just show the dripping of water?
No.
That's something I just caught the last time around. I don't know if that's just like a background thing or if it is symbolism. I don't know.
Symbolism. It's like,
but it's a lot of like just like drip, like a sound here and there, and you'll see like ripples on water. So I don't know.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, here's my thought. These are just me off the top of my head right now. Well, first off, like, they interact with water a lot. Like, they fall into the pond. Remember with the koi fish, and he falls into like that river or whatever off of the balcony. You know, when he falls. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like, and at the beginning when they're kids, they get pushed into the pond, into the fountain. Like, right. Water is important, people. Someone go analyze all of those scenes and let us know at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
I love that.
Oh man, that's such a good observation, Emma.
Thank you. I don't know if it's just like, you know, the effect of somebody's connection is a ripple effect in somebody's lives. And like, you know, Shoyo does start with just making amends with Shoko, but then along the way, you know, he wants to make amends with all of the elementary students. So he continues to find them, and suddenly he has a friend group. So I don't know if it's like a ripple effect.
Right.
And because of the connections or what, but it's just something to think about maybe next time you're watching the film.
Oh, yeah. Keep an eye out. Love it. Anything else about the movie in particular? Otherwise, we can go on and talk about Kyoto Animation.
I was just going to point out, I really loved the how Shoyo really questions like what it means to be friends with his friend Tomo. He's like, this is just another favorite moment of mine. But they're in like a burger shop, like a McDonald's or something like that. And he's just like, is there like some secret method to becoming friends? Like, how does someone like do that? And then Tomo's just like, I'll show you how. Shakes his hand, does something crazy, whatever. And he's like, it's as simple as that. Because you and I have a bond. And it was a really sweet moment because you get another glimpse of Shoyo and how much he has cut himself off from the world. And just from one act of kindness, from helping this guy get his bike, like a bond is formed and he suddenly feels found and known. And I think everybody just longs to have that feeling. And, like the water, it's a ripple effect. And,
right.
Shoyo and Shoko, not only do they make amends, but they help each other heal because both of them are dealing with, like, both of them talk about how they hate themselves. It's really sad. Like you see it, Shoko in the Ferris wheel video recording, she's talking to Naoka about how she hates herself, and you just are like, but why? You're awesome.
Right.
So it's just like really impactful how the two like have different experiences and both hate themselves, but because of their experiences, that's what brings them together and they can find healing through that. So I just love this movie so much.
I'm crying just thinking about it. Gosh, I love it. It just like rips apart your insides and leaves them out in the open. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go slowly pick up the pieces of myself that you tore and throw away from my body. But
do you have, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, but it's still worth it, guys. Don't make me
yeah, right.
push you away from what was your question?
I was just going to ask if you had a favorite character before we moved on.
Oh gosh, I love all of them. I was about to say Shoko, and I was like, wait, but Shoya, but wait. I think I'm going to go with Yuzuru because she's the little sister of Shoko, and she tries so hard. I mean, she has her own problems too. She is just constantly like at home, she, like you said, has to communicate for Shoko sometimes, and she just looks after her older sister like crazy. Like when Shoya first goes to find Shoko, Yuzuru is in his way, like physically not letting him see her because she is like guarding her older sister from, like, she knows what happens, and she is just trying to protect her older sister. And she's like this amazing photographer, and she like purposefully photographs death and dead things so that her sister will like not want to kill herself. Like, look at how horrible death is. Like, it's just everything she does is for her sister, and plus she's just a really cute and fun character. And also I'm just like, she tries so hard, and yeah, I love it. And she loves her sister so much. I love it.
Yeah, she's awesome.
What about you?
I think I would have to say Tomohiro. Like, he is just so kind and devoted, and he doesn't let things just slip away when things get bad. He's really in it for the long run. He's a loyal friend. And like, I think about the moment on the bridge when Shoyo just kind of yells at everybody and tells them to back off. And he's just like, I know you don't really mean it, but I'm going to give you your space and walk away. And it's just like, wow, you're such a true friend. And he's just so kind. I really love him a lot.
I agree. He's a really fun character. And it really is. All these characters are really three-dimensional and so fascinating to watch interact with each other. Okay, I just want to say that A Silent Voice is so phenomenal, and it did not get the recognition it deserved upon its initial release because your name was in the box office at the same time. So it's not, it's hard to compete with your names.
Yeah, that's a heavy competition.
I just want to clarify that honestly, A Silent Voice is just as phenomenal, but your name got garnered all of the attention at the time. So that's maybe why you haven't heard of it.
But it's so good.
It's so good.
I also love your name. It's great.
Yes, we're going to have to talk about that ASAP.
We definitely will.
ASAP. Okay, great.
Yes.
So the reason we want to talk about A Silent Voice is because it's on Netflix right now, so it's easily accessible for anyone who wants to watch it. At least in the US, it's on Netflix. I don't know about anywhere else. Sorry, all you people in Australia and Panama. Okay. Secondly, because on July 18th, Kyoto Animation, one of their studios, which created A Silent Voice, it's in their production, was attacked by an arsonist, and the whole studio caught fire. And I know we're kind of like switching over. This is like really hard to talk about, but it was really, really, really depressing in so many ways. 35 dead, 33 injured, one of the deadliest massacres in Japan since World War II, and on an institution that is just creating so much joy and happiness for people. It's just absolutely horrible. And I just wanted to point it out to be like, look at like A Silent Voice, Free, Violet Evergarden, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, like all of these phenomenal things that they've created. And when you're watching A Silent Voice, like when I was watching it, like I was just like, man, I don't even know if like some of these people that created this are alive anymore. You know, like some of these people that worked on this amazing production, and and like we will never see. Like this is just such a detriment to the animation society, like the animation community as a whole, and just we will never see any of the stuff that the last things that they ever worked on. Like everything is gone, except for one computer server that we know of at least made it, and all of the data on that computer survived, any digital work, but everything else is gone. And I just want to like, I don't want to be too depressing here, but I just want to like also talk about the really amazing stuff about Kyoto Animation, because they are really a huge forefront in Japan on paying their workers like an actual living wage. Like usually in Japan, animators get paid like per frame, like as freelancers, but Kyoto Animation paid them like a living weekly salary, which is huge. They're also leading in hiring women, not just as like animators, but also in like leadership positions, director roles, like all of that. And like for such a phenomenal studio to be attacked like that. And I know we can be really desensitized of this kind of stuff in our day and age, and in the US especially, like this just seems to happen all the time. And I know I can just get desensitized from it, but like it's just, I know a lot of people are struggling with it. So I wanted to mention it and just like, you know, yes, all of our thoughts and prayers are to you. And also like the animation community, the anime community as a whole is so phenomenal, because they raised like $2.5 billion, you know, and that's going to the families of the victims. And like, it's just so much that the world will never get back.
Right. Yeah. Not only the people themselves, but the stories that they were telling with their own lives and that they wanted to share with the world, is just heartbreaking.
Just go watch A Silent Voice, and like in memory of these amazing people.
Yeah. If anything else for that.
Anything. Yeah.
So I haven't watched a lot of Kyoto's animation projects, but I have watched A Silent Voice and Violet Evergarden, which is also super incredible. But what I know about their work so far is that they are very in tune to human pain and are very powerful regarding like the way we process and the way we heal. It's just very raw and real. And I think we need more of that in our lives because we are so desensitized today in our society. We forget how to feel. A lot of things we do today are numbing because we don't want to feel, whether that be hurt or anger or the list goes on. But I love their works because they remind us, no, that's a beautiful part of what makes us human. So once again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the community.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And they are still in production for most of the things they're working on. They've put a lot of the deadlines back on things. I think they canceled one promotional event for their 2020 free film. They're having a premiere, I think, in like Germany or something. They canceled that. I noticed Fire Force, an episode came out a little later than normal, but other than that, a few things are backed up. But yeah, I mean, they're still gonna work on putting things back together and moving on with production from other things. They have other studio buildings in Japan. Yeah. And switching over with my amazing transitions, everybody. What have you been watching recently, Emma?
Yes. Okay. I have been watching a couple of things. So number one, season 3 of She-Ra came out. It's a DreamWorks show, and I've just really been enjoying it. It's not like the most intriguing plot I've ever like been introduced to. It's just like a fun, like, we are friends and we're going to battle evil and we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, kind of typical, good versus evil. But it's fun, and I really love the characters. They're just super awesome. So that was one. Yeah. 2 is the remake of Fruits Basket, of course. Like, why wouldn't I be watching that?
This last episode.
It's so beautiful.
So good.
So good. And so that's just been a treat. So check out our Fruits Basket episode if you haven't already.
Yeah, get on that, guys.
And then lastly, I just watched a series on Netflix called Anohana, which means the flower we saw that day. And oh my gosh, it's like just 11 episodes long. That's it. But it's so beautiful, and it's talking about the process of grief and dealing with death. And it is just so beautiful. It's this group of kids who, when they were young, one of their friends in the group died by falling into a river. And her ghost, though, is still bothering one of the other kids. And so they're trying to figure out, how can we get Menma to heaven? Like, what is it that she's staying around for? Anyway, it's just super beautiful. Once again, lots to do with human vulnerability, and it's great. Love them.
Yeah, you recommended that to me, and I have been watching it, but I have to take it a little bit at a time because it's so real and so emotional. Like, it has really fun parts too, but I'm just, I need to save it for another time when I'm like ready to watch it. It's so good.
That's totally fair.
I watched like 4 episodes, so I'm really like halfway there.
Yeah.
So I would also highly recommend that.
Yeah, it's very good, beautiful animation. But yeah, once again, it's raw. So take your time.
Yes. And I mean, isn't that how things should be enjoyed? Like, savor it. At least, things like that really should be, taken care of. I don't know. Who am I talking about? I'll like binge all of Dragon Prince in a day. So like,
True, true.
That's
Yeah, so those have been the shows that I've been watching. A lot of anime lately. Also, I just want to say thank you to Netflix. You're doing a lot better with your anime game. Like,
yeah, they
it's
are.
really nice to have these awesome shows available to me for free. I mean, like with my monthly subscription, of course, but
Right. Yeah. Um, I have a video up actually on a little bit about Netflix and some other ways that I watch animation online on my Patreon. So if you want to like donate and watch that, you can. But I'll give you a little snippet. Like, I definitely agree that Netflix is stepping up their anime game a little bit. It's definitely a good place to start, like, especially if you haven't watched any anime before, because they have like Full
fairy
Metal,
tale.
yeah, Fairy Tail, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, One Punch Man, basically like a lot of good stuff to get you started if you're new. So
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online, which gets worse before it gets better.
I don't know. It's so funny that you say that because I remember when I watched it through, I loved it. And it's been a couple years, so it's been a while. But when I run into friends who also like anime and I mention it, they're like, "You like Sword Art Online? Are you serious?" And wait, what did I miss? Like, what do I need to watch this again? Because I thought I loved it, but like, what?
No, the general consensus, I think, from the anime community is that what happens is the first few episodes, like, that show held so much promise, and they promise the viewer so much, and then it completely derails, and you're like, what is this? And I will admit, like, watching this last season, I was like, wow, this plot, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? The last movie that came out, I was like, why did I waste my time watching this? Okay, the movies are terrible. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm still watching them, so they're doing something right. No matter how much I tell myself, nah, just more Sword Art Online, I'm going to be watching the next season. You
That's hilarious.
So, yep, that's my thoughts. I will probably never do a Fanimated episode on it because I don't like it enough to talk about it. Maybe I would with you, Emma, because you like it a lot. But it's true. Sword Art Online used to be in my like number 2 spot in anime.
You were the one who recommended it to me, and that's why I watched it.
Because I freaking loved it. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man, so much potential wasted. Anyway, but also, you know, because for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood will always be number 1 spot for me because that was like my first anime, and it's also like the best anime.
It is so good.
But also, Sword Art Online was one of the next, like, it was in my beginning anime phases, and one of the first anime I watched, and so, like, I also maybe just didn't know better.
LOL.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I still would probably maybe recommend people watch it. Okay, yeah, I think so. Yes, that's my yes, listeners. If you have Netflix and you don't know any anime, you will be like me and you will enjoy it until you watch Attack on Titan, and you'll be like, oh wait, there's better anime out there.
That's fair. It's definitely not my favorite one, but I did enjoy it when I watched it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I just remember, no, it's okay. I just remember the later seasons. I was like, well, this isn't really necessary, but the first season was really good.
I know. It's like they just should have stayed in Ironclad. Like, why did they change the story and then they just keep trying to do the same thing again and again. I will say, like, the premise is amazing. Like, I mean, I know it's okay. Now this is turning into a Sword Art Online episode. It's fine.
Watch A Silent Voice, guys. Watch it. It's so good.
But like the premise of like, if you die in the game, you die in real life is so overdone, and like everyone, it's like blown out of proportion. But like the way Sword Art Online handles it is honestly, I think, still one of the best of that, like, genre, or for lack of a better term. Like, I do like the premise, and I love the Kirito and Asuna. I
Asuna,
just,
played by Sharmila, everybody.
yes. And I just wish they didn't do some of the things they did. Anyway, moving on.
What have you been watching, Kelly?
Well, I also have been watching Fruits Basket, and my gosh, is it freaking amazing. Okay. I can't even. Like, I can't even. And this last episode, did you watch this last episode?
I haven't watched the last episode, so don't say anything.
Dang it.
I just have one more episode. I'm so sorry. I'm almost there.
It's fine. I'm just like, every episode.
It's not fine, guys. It's not fine.
Not. I'm like,
she's giving me the disappointed nod.
It's so good. It's just like every week I'm like, this is my favorite episode. No, wait. This is my favorite episode. No, wait. This is my favorite episode. It's like every episode is just gold after gold after gold. And
so good.
And they're just digging into things so much better than the original. Like, and the original is really good. And this one is even better. Like, how? But they did it. And they're doing it. Proof.
The original was so deep.
So deep. And this one is even deeper. Like, proof that a remake can be better than the original. Disney looking at you. I just saw Lion King. I didn't like it.
Amen. I mean, I didn't see Lion King, but I was saying amen to the remake thing.
Right, exactly. Like, this is what a remake should be. Like, yes, better graphics because time has changed, but also a better story. What? Anyway.
Oh, and if you're going to keep something animated, aka, sorry, Lion King, but cartoon to also animated because CGI,
like,
you can use the same voice actors. Wow.
Yes, and it just makes it so good. Oh my goodness. I love that they kept the voice actors. It makes me so happy. And
because it just brings you home. Like, you're just like, these are the characters I know and love.
Yes, because they are the characters, guys. It kills me. I love it. This is literally like, it's an anime fan's dream come true.
It is, because I remember when we were getting ready to watch the first episode together, and all I could think about was, because voices are very important to me.
Yeah.
They're very impactful, as shown by a silent voice. But like, I remember being like, this is going to be really good. I know it, but I'm really sad because I love the original characters and their voices, and they were so fitting. And then as soon as the characters started talking and it was the originals, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what? My life was made. I did.
Because you have a very good ear for it, and you immediately were like, oh my gosh, it's the same people. I was like, you're right.
I love it.
Yes. The other anime I'm watching right now, like keeping up with, is Fire Force. It is, well, I hesitate because I don't know if it's like my favorite thing ever, but like I'm intrigued. Like, and it's like phenomenal visuals. It's just eye candy. Watch it just to look at it. And then B, the plot is really intriguing. The basic premise is that the world, what happens is, like, sometimes occasionally people will, like, it's like spontaneous combustion. People will turn into these like fire demons basically. And it's like they have died, but they have like turned into these raging fire monsters, and the fire force goes and
makes sense,
and like, extinguishes the flame and keeps everyone safe and kills the fire demon, right?
Makes sense,
right? It's this weird thing. It's not just like, the super action packed, like, defeat the demon, crazy cool, awesome, phenomenal, like, battles, because it is, but there's a second layer and third layer of like the demons they're fighting were people once. Like they had just turned into these demons, and then the fire force is also like religiously affiliated. So it's not only that they are keeping everyone safe and like getting the fires out, it's like they are putting these souls to rest. And it's such an interesting dynamic because not only do they go in guns a-blazing like super awesome action sequences, they also have to like be aware of like, you know, the grieving family members that are there, that they are leaving behind and that are right there, or like you know, the people that they are, you know, how they putting to rest is what they call it. And it's just so fascinating, and there's so much to this world, and like so many like there's definitely a lot of layers that have yet to be peeled away, and I'm really intrigued by it.
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Plus, the fire is actually like, it's just really cool. And like some of the characters have like fire powers. So like the main character.
Ooh, that would be me.
Yeah, you're a firebender.
It's true.
And the main character, he is like flames that like shoot out of his feet. So he flies around, and like, it's pretty cool.
Oh, that sounds so cool. I want to watch it.
You should. All right. That's it. That's all I got.
We're both busy.
Yes. I wish I could watch more anime. I've got like such a huge list on my Funimation app and on Netflix. I haven't even finished season 2 of She-Ra, let alone getting to season 3.
Yeah. Isn't it? This is the list that never ends. It just goes on and on.
Yep. Summarizes it.
It's so hard because I just love seeing these beautiful creations come to life, and yet we will never have time to see them all, you know?
It's true. I've thought about that. Okay, we've been really real this episode. Let me get real again.
Be real.
Like, sometimes I think about that. Like, when I die, there'll be so much that I have never, there's so many stories I will never have gotten to experience or read or watch or listen to, or, you know, it's just like we are just constantly creating new things. And it's beautiful.
Right. I love that. And that's where, I mean, it goes into the whole debate of like, do I watch something like, if it's like not the greatest at first, do I hold on to see if it really does bring artistic value, or do I just leave it behind and spend my time elsewhere? Because you never know how a story is going to end up.
Yeah, you know? But like, if you're not enjoying the journey getting there, that's what it's about, Emma. It's about the journey. And if you aren't enjoying it, you can put, everybody, I'm allowing you. This is my permission to you. If you need my permission, you are allowed to put that book down. Bring it back to the library. You do not need to finish it. Because I'm telling you, because I used to be that way. Like I had to finish a book. You don't have to finish it. You're not enjoying it, put it down. Like read or watch the things that bring you joy at the end.
Don't you feel like you've had a couple shows in your life, though, where the first 2 episodes were like, but then once you got into it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Well, yeah. But like when you get to a certain point, like if you're halfway through a season, or like you know, if you're a good chunk of the way through something and you're still not having a good time about it, and I mean, you can be not having a good time, but you're watching it for like educational purposes, or like reading a book that's like maybe really boring but is teaching you a lot or something like that. If there are other reasons for it, but if it's just like not bringing you any value to your life at all, like don't waste your time, because there's so much out there to be consuming. Like, why waste your time?
Preach. I got nothing. I got nothing to combat that, girl.
I didn't realize I had so much emotion about that.
My time is valuable, so maybe I should quit all my jobs and just try. I'm just kidding.
I wish. Oh my goodness! But your time is valuable, Emma. Everyone's time is valuable. Like, spend that extra time you have to enjoy the stories that you want to enjoy. in whatever medium you prefer.
Indeed.
But hopefully it's animation because that's my favorite.
It'll probably be like 85% animation.
And then like, 10% manga and then 5% maybe actually reading a book.
I love a good read. I love books.
Me too.
Anyway,
we're going to stay off topic. Doesn't matter. We've been all over the board this episode. I love it. It's because it's late and I'm tired and life is crazy. But that's
a silent voice has brought out like our emotional side because it's deep. So we're like, oh, yes. Here we are.
Yes.
Vulnerable human beings.
Here we are. This is us. Vulnerable human beings in pain, the human experience. Go watch A Silent Voice.
Period.
All right. Thanks, Emma, for podcasting with me. And
thank you for having me again. It's so good to be back and to see you.
You too. It's always a pleasure. All right. We'll talk at you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening, and a special thank you to our supporters on Patreon. If you want to find out how to vote for upcoming episode topics and support the technical costs of the show, go to www.patreon.com/Fanimated. Let us know your thoughts about A Silent Voice and your other favorite animated media on Facebook and Instagram at Fanimated Podcast. You can also email us at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. The art for this podcast is done by me. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music, and a huge thank you to Emma for joining me today. Talk to you again soon, and in the meantime, stay tuned and stay animated.
Go watch it over and over again.
Yes, over and over and over again.